It's Moses Brown Day. Come and celebrate with me. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and do a kickflip. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, in fact. Go to FanDuel.com, sign up, and if your first $5 bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com right now to get started. Also go to LockedOnDaily.com, and you can sign up for the best NBA newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That is LockedOnDaily.com. Sign up over there and get cracking. Double bang this one as well. Thumb, comment, all that stuff. 5 games on Thursday. We're going to get into them. We're going to talk about waiver wire trends as well. It is the end of Black History Month, so I thought I'd just mention that. It's February the 28th here for me, last day of February. That's where we're at. That has been all of February. And then for me, tomorrow, it's March. I know you guys have a little bit more time left in February, but that's okay. I'm here to just break through the March barrier and get things going. All right, we are ready to look at action across the NBA. We'll start with just a bit of news. In case you haven't seen it, Cameron Thomas of the Brooklyn Nets is not on the injury report, so he is ready to return on Friday. They've got a Friday, Saturday back-to-back, the Nets. I'm going to be pretty surprised if Cam Thomas plays on Saturday. I would also be pretty surprised if he's playing big minutes immediately. Remember, he came back from the injury that he suffered in November, played 2 games and was injured again, and was playing low minutes in those 2 games as well. So I don't think they're going to push too much here with him. There's still no Russell. He's still out, and same with Clowney, who will probably next week, maybe. You can go and add Thomas. Absolutely, there's no problem with doing that. Just expect some muted performances. Alex Caruso is resting tomorrow. We got that update. And then we got the update from the Knicks that both Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns are listed questionable. Towns missed the last game. Hart missed some time coming out of the All-Star break. Yeah, there's no way to really know whether they're going to miss or not, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact that they are questionable. So is Desmond Bane. Actually, he's listed questionable with a groin issue for Friday too. So a few little updates there. With some injuries, let's talk waiver wire and trends and guys that have been added and dropped and going through how we want to view those decisions. The most added player is Bol. Yeah, we know what to do with Bol. Once there's an inkling that we're moving into a starting job, you add him. Because the upside is there. We should, rightfully, have doubts about his ability to sustain that role moving forward. But this is not a situation of a guy where best case is your 11th best player. If it is best case, he's a top 50-ish player. And that's bloody good enough. So yeah, it makes sense. The next most added player is Kyle Filipowski, and it's going to be a rough road here. I tried to go through it on the preview show earlier today. All the Jazz guys, by the way, are listed questionable again, so who knows if they're going to play. And it appears like we need Walker Kessler out for Filipowski to play, but about half of their remaining games are against teams which I think they would consider to be bad, and they are in a spot, the Jazz. The Wizards are on 10 wins, but the Hornets, and see what they're doing, the Pelicans and the Jazz are all either 14 or 15 wins. And being top 3 is very different to being top 4. So just be aware of this, that there are going to be opportunities for Filipowski to play big minutes in some games, but it's not every game. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, one of the more added players. They got Dante DiVincenzo back today, so we'll see what his impact is. We'll talk about that. That's the last game of the day. Ty Jerome, I still fully believe that Jerome is worthy of streaming, but absolutely not worthy of being a must-roster player. Now, the Cavs, I'm just checking out their schedule. They play on Friday and on Sunday. And I did a bit of a straw poll. I've tried to work out these numbers in terms of what sort of day volume is useful for streaming. I used to use 9, and I'm thinking of moving it to 10. And most of the people who replied to that suggest that, yeah, for some of you with 9 games on, you're not going to be able to stream, and for some of you, you will. And people looked at their own teams, and they looked at other teams in the league, and generally it was like, say, 60% of teams were able to stream and 40% weren't. So I think that's it's a reasonable number. If we move to 10, I think we feel pretty good about that being a large chunk of teams not being able to stream on a day with 10 games. Anyway, or more than 10 actually. So we've got 10, so because Friday is 10. So they were checking Friday. So with 10 on, it's close enough to 50-50. So with Ty Jerome, like, will he be good enough for you to start on Friday? Otherwise, there's only one game left for the week. And that might not be enough. Up to you. Zaire Williams, most added. Okay, he's been pretty good. We'll see what Cam Thomas does. I don't mind the add of Williams. It's still just one that I'd be more interested in streaming through, whereas Day'Ron Sharpe, again, people love that. And I'm going to hope that some of the ads there are because people added him before Nick Claxton got suspended or when they knew Nick Claxton was suspended, because adding him after Claxton got suspended, I'm going to have a problem with it. I just don't want people to be disappointed when they see him play 18 minutes in the next game. Maybe he doesn't, but I'd say there's a significant chance that happens again because Claxton's going to be back and playing on Friday. The most dropped player, number 1, is Gershon Yabusele. Absolutely no worries with that. If he is back for the Sixers next game, you can re-add him. Cool. You see what happens, and you use him when necessary, and then if you need to move on, you move on. But his numbers don't overwhelm. They're not good enough to feel like, wow, I've really got myself a steal here. Their next game is on Saturday, and that's the final game for the week, so no worries with that. Dropping Goga Badadze, 100% the right move. Somehow Cole Anthony returned to action, didn't miss any games after that knee injury, which honestly, I was worried that it was season over for him. People dropped him, which is totally okay as well. It doesn't really matter that he came back and played today. You didn't need to hold on. Andy Dempard, absolutely just a stream guy. Steph Castle, I'm going to guess a lot of those drops came before the game yesterday. We know what Castle is. It's all going to depend on how they utilize him and then how much you're willing to just hope that you get 35 usage, because I feel like that's what it's going to take to get enough value. The last one there is the big sneeze, Precious Achua. By the way, I didn't even mention this. Mitchell Robinson is listed questionable as well. And I know that the Knicks and Tibbs keeps talking about, hey, our starting center's been out. I would be incredibly shocked if Mitchell Robinson is starting for this team. Incredibly shocked. We'll see. We'll see what maybe. Who goes to the bench? Bridges? Hart? Anunoby? I don't know. I'll be shocked, and also be shocked if Robbo's playing more than 20 minutes. But you may disagree with that. You might think that Josh Hart moves to the bench, and maybe he does. Also, we all know that Karl Anthony Towns playing at the 4 is just way, way, way worse for his actual encore play, but also for his fantasy value. So we'll see exactly what they end up doing there. But Achua's been dropped, and that is 100% the correct decision there. Shall we go into the games and look at the first one? It is your Golden State Warriors, my Orlando Magic. What a weird game this one. The Magic were up pretty sizably in the first half. And then the Warriors came out in the second half and just said, yeah, right, we're off here. We are absolutely flying, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And they cooked them 121-115. And again, that final score, I don't think it really fully captures the essence of this game. The Warriors made a switch at halftime. They took Moses Moody, who was starting, onto the bench, and they started Quentin Postman-Pat. 24 minutes for Postman-Pat. He had 18 and 5 with 2 threes, a steal, and a block on 78% shooting. Is this the foreseeable future starting again? I don't know. What I do know is that we have literal evidence of seeing Quentin Post start. And we have seen him start, and we have seen him be useless. This was a good game for Posty. No problem with that. Absolutely fine to look at that and say it's good. Even though Kuminga's not quite back yet, I would be pretty hesitant to look at Post and go, yeah, this is a must-add spot. I don't think so. I've buried the lead a little bit. Maybe because I don't want to promote them because they didn't pay for an ad on this show. But you want your DoorDash 50% off order? It's here tomorrow, noon onwards. Use the code NBA50 because Steph had 50 points. 56 points with 12 threes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists and 2 steals, 25 shot attempts. That's Shaedon Sharpe volume. He hit 64%. He was 12 of 12 from the line. You probably don't need to watch to the end of the show to figure out who the monstrous line of the night's going to be. It's going to be him. That's a ridiculous game. He has had some weird stretches this season, but he's in the midst of a really good run. Jimmy Butler's not probably in the midst of a good run here. 5 points on 14%. He did have 7 assists and 2 blocks, but Jimmy is, I would say, not particularly cooking at the moment. Yeah, there was that weird 18-minute game last time out, but last 2 weeks he's 102nd, which is like rosterable, obviously, but it's really not where you want him to be. Let's hope that we get a little bit back from that. Podziemski continues to do sort of enough. 8, 4, and 7, 2 blocks, 2 threes. We'll reassess it when Kuminga returns. I'm not sure Kuminga's going to be a must, to be honest. But Podziemski's okay at the moment. And Moses Moody remains just a stream guy. 10 points, 1 rebound, 1 block, 20%, bench in the second half, 25 minutes. Under no circumstances is Moses Moody a must-roster player. Now, Moses Moody was part of my little stream plan experiment for this week. So his numbers aren't great. So I'm holding him through to play again on Saturday, but that's it. All right, that's just for the basis of this argument that I was trying to make. Otherwise, he's not a must-roster guy. Draymond had 12, 10, and 4. Fine, pretty good. Actually, Draymond's been a lot better than usual. And also, Buddy Hield. Hey, what are we? Oh, yeah, 3 points, 18 minutes. He did have a steal and a block, though, Budrick. Please, for the absolute love of God. The only reason you should be rostering Buddy is for the Thursday, Saturday pseudo back-to-back, surely. The Magic, same lineup for them again. I just mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. Like, you're not rostering Goga Badadze. Come on.
Get that garbage out of here.
We know what's happening here. They're just not going to do it. 22 minutes, 7 and 5. Not enough. Doesn't matter. He's a streamable guy for blocks and boards, and that is it. Paolo was great. Not enough to beat Steph, but 41 in 36 minutes, 41, 6 and 5, 4 threes, 59 from the field is a gigantic boost. And then, unfortunately, we went 5 of 8 from the line, which is 5 big dooms. Franz Wagner had 27, 2 and 4 with 3 steals. Good game from him. And Cole Anthony, again, that's pretty good. 11 and 7, 4 assists and 3 blocks. Is he useful? Sure. I don't think it's any more than streaming, though. And, of course, with him doing that, what did we get? Of course, we had to get a bad Mr. Black game. 5 points, 20 minutes, 20%. 2 assists. He had 2 steals. The reason to maybe swoop on adding Anthony Black was because we thought Cole Anthony was going to be out. He's not out, so don't worry about holding on to Anthony Black. And for the love of God, no one is rostering Kentavious Caldwell. I know they are because I can see the numbers, but man, come on.
Get that garbage out of here.
0 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. He's been someone for many years that I have gone on and on and on about you just shouldn't be rostering him in 12-10 leagues. It is a burn of your spot. It is a waste of a roster spot. And he's been somehow worse. He's outside the top 200 this season, despite playing starters minutes. Tristan da Silva also on the way out of the rotation there for the Orlando Magic. We've got 4 more games. We'll talk about them. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There is no better place to get in on all that action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, well, you can just stay involved in that action, watching it as it transpires. Place those live bets. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay to increase your odds. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com. For your shot at $150 in bonus bets, make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, let's go on to the second game of the day, Denver and Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, the Bucks win at 121-112 is the final score here. We'll start with the Denver Nuggets. They were able to go in with the same starting lineup again. We'll see what happens because they're playing again tomorrow, so I'm not really sure what they're going to do with Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook with their soft tissue injuries. Jokic he was great. Again, 32, 14, and 10 with a steal on 81% shooting. He continues to be ridiculous. Jamal Murray, he's been so much better after a terrible start. 20 points in 40 minutes with 5 assists. Took 20 shots, hit 45%. Pretty good game. The rest, not as much. Michael Porter Jr., 12 and 10, which seems okay, but he shot 23%. He took 22 shot attempts. Aaron Gordon, 9 and 5. All right, what's going on there? 1-1. All right. I think we are still definitely holding Michael Porter. For Gordo, I don't know whether... I've been on a spot here with Gordon for a while thinking, I just don't... And I've said it before. I don't think that you need to just hold on to him. I think he's okay to use, but if he's going to miss games like tomorrow, then it's hard for me to look at that. Even though he's been good, the last little bit of time, I'm not sure it's an absolute must. Same with Russell Westbrook. 10, 6, and 5 is nothing to sneeze at. 31%, I'll sneeze all over that. That's terrible. All right, but now does he play tomorrow? He's getting 25 minutes a night. Brown is still starting. What do we do here with Westbrook? I think we are getting to the stage, and again, this is always going to depend on your individual circumstances, where you are in the timeline of your season, as to how long can you wait. As for Brown, good double-double, only 13 points, but 10 rebounds and 2 steals. Pretty strong game. Not his best, but pretty strong. And I think that's really sort of all there is to talk about on the Nuggets. And we'll go across to the Bucks now and talk about them. Now, we'll start with this. This is for the real heavy hitters, the real double onyxers, but also it's actually for everybody. Because when Damian Lillard has sat games, Ryan Rollins has been the starter. And you know that he's always good for a couple of thefts. He's also been an okay guy at generating steals and assists and scoring in those games, if you wanted a single game stream. He cannot play a single game for the rest of the season. He has reached his 50-game maximum on his two-way contract. This won't be the first time we talk about contracts and CBA stuff that is important for fantasy. So he is done. The only way that Ryan Rollins can now play in a game for the rest of the season is to be converted to a full-time contract. And that hasn't happened yet. So just be aware. If something happens to Dame, we will have Kevin Porter Jr. having to start because these are the options. Delon Wright's not there anymore. It's going to have to be him. So be aware of that. Lillard had 19 points only. He only took 9 shots, but 19, 4 and 4 with 2 steals, while Gianni had 28, 19 and 7, and a very weird low field goal percentage night from Antetokounmpo. 48% from the field, and of course bad from the line. Gary Trent, we had the good Gary Trent game. 15 points, 3 threes, 3 steals. This brings Gary Trent now to 221st over the last 2 weeks and 225th over the course of the season, showing once again that no, you do not ever bite on this. You use a desperation stream and you're looking for threes and steals, and you bloody just hope that it turns out to be the 1 in 5 good game from Trenner. It was not the good game from Big Boom AJ Green. We actually got 5 big dooms here. 6 points with 2 threes in 20 minutes with a steal. He'd been playing 30 minutes a night, and Doc just said, nah, we're doing something different, and he did. So you don't have to obviously be concerning yourself with Green, nor do you concern yourself with the artist formerly known as Torian Prince. He had 10 points in 30 minutes. He had 2 threes. He had 2 steals, which is they're fine numbers. And on a 5-game day, there is some utility in looking at that and streaming it in. But we generally, at this time of the year, we want to hit volume numbers. We want to take advantage of back-to-backs and 3s and 4s and that sort of stuff to bump our numbers up. Kuzma was pretty good. What stands out to me the most with Kyle is he played 37 minutes. The absence of Bobby Portis helps a little bit. It helps in the times where his usage can go up when he's not playing with the starters. And he came out in this one early. Trent came in, and so we got a bit of time with the second unit. 16, 9, and 5 with 2 blocks. But again, 33% shooting. The 5 of 6 from the line is great. Kuzma still, he's not really doing that well. He's 150th over the last 2 weeks in 35 minutes. Depending on your format, there is some value in holding Kuzma and using him just when they play. And the Bucks also, of course, have a great schedule with a bunch of quality games. But also, for a lot of you, he won't be worth it, and streaming in that roster spot will get you more value, even though the Bucks have by far the best and the most amount of quality games the rest of the season. That's true. And he plays for the Bucks, so he's got the most out of anybody in the league. But dropping, you can still get 6 or 7 games a week out of that roster spot, and no matter how many quality games Kyle Kuzma has, he's never going to have 6 or 7 games in a week. Now, ideally, you'd find someone equivalent to Kuzma who might play 2 games in a week, or 1 quality game in a week, or 3 or whatever, and switch them out for somebody else. But just because they've got this great schedule, and they do, no denying that they do, you can still do way better just by adding extra guys in, doubling up games played potentially during a week. You can still do that, even though they play that large quantity of quality games. All right, we've got 3 more. This is the one that I think a lot of you, and you may have seen me talk about this through Basketball Monster, or I even tweeted it out. We'll get to, actually, we're not going to get straight to it because it is the Moses Brown game, of course. So we're going to start with Charlotte, though. They lose to the Mavericks 96-103. And yeah, you can see there on the screen that the Hornets rolled out the same starting lineup. You think, that's a good thing. It's not actually a good thing at all because that last starting lineup that they used did not have LaMelo Ball in it. Ball rested the second game of a back-to-back on Tuesday and then didn't play here with ankle soreness. Now, we've spoken at length about the Hornets having this incredibly packed schedule since coming out of the All-Star break. I think it's 6 games in 8 days, something along those lines. It's either 6 in 8 or 6 in 9. Really, really busy. So, incredibly busy. Also, I referenced it earlier with Kyle Filipowski and the Jazz. This team has 14 wins. They're 14 wins. The Pelicans now have 16 wins. The Jazz have 14 wins. It is in their best interest against a Dallas team that is completely banged up and against other bad teams to lose often. So I would be getting a little worried. Not that I think that LaMelo is going to sit the rest of the season, but who knows? I don't know. And it is incredibly frustrating, obviously. He was at shoot-around this morning, and then they said, okay, no, you're not playing. There's going to be shenaniganizing all the way through. But again, this was a period of 6 games in 8 nights. It was a period with multiple back-to-backs that he sat, and they are 14 wins. Same as Utah. So just be prepared. And what they did do is they went back to KJ Simpson. Now, Simpson had been getting two-aid. He'd been getting sat down, Ryan Rollins style, which made it hard to use him. But now, he's back in favor. There you go. We're persisting with these Alfred Payton games, which was so annoying. But anyway, KJ, 31 minutes, 11, 4, and 5 with 2 steals. And honestly, if something happens and LaMelo doesn't play, those lines, and I think Simpson can do that semi-regularly, that's good enough for 12-team leagues. It's good enough. Actually, well, that's not true. It's good enough for the right scheduled periods in 12-team leagues. In 14 teams, I love it. But at the moment, I still don't know when he's going to play. Because at the moment, if I look at my numbers, he has got 13 available games left. And there are more than 13 games left in the season. I believe there are, off the top of my head, 24 games left. So 13 out of 24 that he can play unless he gets converted. So just be aware of that part of it. Right? But that's not a bad game. Mark Williams. People were considering dropping Mark Williams, and he will sit some games. He will. 26 and 16 in 31 minutes with a block. Very, very good. While Miles Bridges had 20 and 12 with 6 assists. And actually, we got a good game out of Nick Smith, finally. 12, 3 and 7, 2 threes, 33 minutes. He didn't shoot well, and that's, we know that. But that's good production. Josh Green, on the other hand, not so much. 36 minutes is good, but 7 points, 2 threes, 2 assists is horrendous. And Damian Barr had 2 and 2 and 2, but that's not a good Richie Beno. That's a bad Richie Beno. That's 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and he shot horribly. Now, the Hornets are one of those teams that I was looking at in the streaming plan if you decided to use 2 slots to stream, which I don't think was the preferred method this week. So what I can do is I can go and have a look and see how the stats of those 2 guys who I used an under 30% cutoff on Yahoo for Hornets players to try and add for the 3 games in 4 nights to see. And the 2 names that came up were Nick Smith Jr. and Josh Green. So, well, might as well just have a look and read out the numbers they put up over that time. Okay, so if you did make the move and add Nick Smith or Josh Green at the start of the week, they played Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So you use 1 ad and you got 3 games out of it. Nick Smith totaled 34 points, 6 triples, 6 rebounds, 11 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. The steal and the block a little bit low, but 34, 6, and 11 with 6 threes for a waiver wire ad, you'd be very happy with it. Incredibly happy. Obviously, it's over 3 games, but often people use their streams for one-day pickups. Maximizing your moves, like 34, 6, 11, steal and a block, it's a monstrous line of the night. Now, of course, he shot 11 of 40, and then he went to the line twice, which is not very great. It's terrible, in fact. He had 5 turnovers during that time. That totals about 59 fantasy points on Yahoo. That's not bad. 59 fantasy points. I know it's 3 games, but that honestly it's 60 points for 1 ad. That's pretty good use of that 1 ad. Josh Green, not as successful. 16, 3 and 6 with 4 threes, 3 steals and a block. He shot 5 of 15, 2 of 4 from the line, totaling 39 fantasy points across 3 games. That's pretty bad. But again, if you look at it, well, I've only got 13 fantasy points per game. I don't think that tells the full story because you use 1 ad, you got 40 points. Again, very hard to do that on a 1-game sample. Very hard to do that. So we'll at the end of the week, we'll total it up and see based on the selection of different guys that I thought could be droppable to try and add these guys in. But this wasn't my preferred method for this week, trying the 2-slotter. I just didn't think that the quality of players gave you enough of a... What I want to do is try and get, not guaranteed advantage, but close enough to guaranteed advantage, where that even if there are poor performances looking at you, Nick Smith, you can be insulated by volume of games. And the way that this week played out, I didn't think that it gave you enough insulation there. But that's how those guys all shook out. What else on the Hornets? Moussa Diabate, 13 minutes only. There was no Nurkic, and Mark Williams played. Now, obviously, there are going to be opportunities and spot starts for Diabate coming up. But there's also no guarantee of that. So there's no reason for me to be holding him.
Get that garbage out of here.
What else happened in this game from the Hornets' perspective? Not a lot, really. Not a lot at all. In fact, nothing else. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks because I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to ask. I know what the chat has already said, even though I'm recording this in advance and it's not live, and I know what you've said in the chat. Is Moses Brown an ad? Yeah? You said it. Someone said it. We adding? What are we doing, Josh? We adding? Because Moses, terrible real-life player Brown, played 31 minutes. He had been out of the rotation for the Mavericks. PJ Washington was out in this game, and word salad legend Jason Kidd gave us a quote. They said, "What's your level of concern on PJ Washington's ankle?" And I'm going to paraphrase here, but he's like, "Yeah, man, I got sore, man. Actually, really, really high, really, really bad. Man, we're so concerned. He might be available Saturday." Okay, Jace. So if you've got really high level of concern about how bad it is, pretty sure he's not going to play on Saturday, or you're lying? I don't know. Never seen this man lie before in his life. Shout out to Luka Doncic. So you don't know what to make of that, but Brown had been getting the big fat 0. It is also worth remembering, as much as I can talk about Mark Williams having a big game, he did. He played against Moses Brown. That's a W. How many times have we seen centers go crazy, or anyone go crazy against the Hornets? And Brown did it. And there is no denying Moses Brown that when he plays, he can put up fantasy stats. We've talked about this ad nauseum. 20 and 11, 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's Daron Sharp's music. They're great numbers. But he is almost the definition of a bad team merchant. Play against a bad team and you'll put up numbers. Their next game is on Saturday against the Milwaukee Bucks. Against Giannis, Brook Lopez. I'm going to go ahead and say that the level of competition is a little different than playing against Mark Williams and Moussa Diabate. But irrespective of that, that all doesn't matter. Because this is from what I won't say it's 100%, but I'm pretty sure it is. This is the facts on Moses Brown. Moses Brown is on a 10-day contract. Moses Brown's 10-day contract ends on Sunday. So Moses Brown is available to play on Saturday against the Bucks. After the contract expires on Sunday, here are the available options for Moses Brown. Cool. He cannot re-sign with Dallas. He cannot re-sign with Dallas. He can't sign a two-way. They can't convert him to a full-time contract. They can't add him on another 10-day contract. The Mavericks cannot add anybody to their roster until April the 10th, after this 10-day expires. April the 10th. So theoretically, he could be back on April the 10th. But I'm going to go ahead and guess you're not going to add Moses Brown waiting so that you can get games on April the 10th from him. So let's again put this out there on Moses Brown. He will probably, I would say that Jason Kidd starts him against the Bucks. I think that's a bad move, but I think he will start him against the Bucks. I think there is a chance that he gets some extra minutes, but there's also a chance he gets embarrassed and doesn't play 31 minutes. I think there's a chance of that. There's a chance he has a 16 and 11 double-double against the Bucks. That's possible. But it is an absolute lock that is the final game that he will play for over a month on the Mavericks. Now, he would be free to sign with any other team. But if he goes to any other team, he's not going to get a chance to be the starting center, is he? So again, if you are looking for an individual single game stream on Saturday, I think that Moses Brown has every chance in the world to start and play 25 minutes. Minimum, maybe 30. There's every chance in the world he has another big game and is the waiver wire line of the night again for Saturday. But it has zero shot of being a league winner. It just, unless I have misread everything, and I have tried to read everything about this, unless I've misread everything about this, he cannot remain on their roster. It is just illegal in a basketball sense for him to remain on the roster. So, one more to go. Kyrie was great again, 29 and 5 with a Richie Beno, 2 threes, 2 steals and 2 blocks. Max Christie, 8, 4 and 4 in 34 minutes. You know what that means for you, Max?
Get that garbage out of here.
I like Max. Not doing enough to pass through the filter of, is he good enough to hold? He's probably not. Clay was fine, 18 and 4, but to me, he's still just streamable. Well, Najee Marshall did start. They moved him into the starting lineup. They moved Kessler Edwards to the bench. Edwards, by the way, is also subject to two-way contract restrictions, and they cannot convert him. He played 5 minutes for 3 points, so we're obviously not rostering him. And Marshall, 3 points, terrible. I will say this about Najee Marshall. The 9 rebounds are great. The 6 assists are great. And you got absolutely dicked over with 9% shooting. 9. Otherwise, it could have easily been a 10, 9, and 6 game with the 3 in there and looked pretty okay. So if you added him, and I did as part of my hypothetical streaming plan for Thursday and Saturday, sacrificing the 2 games there to drop him after because he shot 9%, I don't think it's a prudent move. I like the minutes. I love the assists. I like the rebounds. He just got horrible, horrible production. Now, Jason Kidd, again, truth-telling legend, told us before the game that Dwight Powell, this is what he said, and this is basically exactly what he said. He said, Dwight Powell is going to be on a 10 to 12 minute restriction again. He said, again. Dwight Powell played 16 minutes in his first game. So I don't know if Jason Kidd's got a watch or he knows numbers. I'm not really sure. But guess how many minutes Dwight Powell played again today on his 10 to 12 minute restriction again? 16 for the second consecutive game. 6-6-3 for Dwight. He will have deeper league streaming appeal while everybody is out. Not much else going on here. Dinwiddie absolutely is not reliable at all. You do not consider him in 12s at all. He had 8, 2, and 2 on 33%, and yeah, he remains pretty bad actually. Let's go on to the next game. The New Orleans Pelicans. They beat the Phoenix Suns. What are both of these teams doing? What is happening with these teams? Carlo Makovic got the start for Kelly Olynyk. I don't really understand Willie Green's plan of attack here. I would just be trying to see what Carlo can do as we move forward in every game. But instead of the beat-up old ass of Kelly Olynyk, who they should have absolutely zero loyalty to because he's not a part of the team and they didn't draft him or anything like that. But whatever. Makovic started, and guess what? Was he pretty good? Yeah. 36 minutes, 17 and 10 with 3 threes. Now, I would have liked a little bit more there. He didn't attempt a free throw. He shot 54%. But they're good numbers. Makovic, over the last 2 weeks, the top 100 player in 24 minutes. The problem is I don't know what he's going to do game by game. If we knew that Makovic is locked in as a starter, clear must add, clear must roster player. In fact, if you've got a little bit of stash ability, a little bit of speculation that you can make, do it. There's no sense in Kelly Olynyk playing these minutes. If Carlo, he's not going to play 35, but he could. He obviously could, because we just saw it. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's as much of a priority as other ads are, but it's pretty good. Jose Alvarado looked to have a bit of an injury in the first half, but played through it, but only 20 minutes. Now, the game itself for Jose is good. 14 points, 5 assists, and 3 steals. He took just 9 shots. And while Jose's been playing really well, the 3 steals came in a real burst in the middle of the third quarter. It's hard to rely upon 20 minutes. And from the last 2 games, this is without Brown and Olynyk, they still didn't prioritize him. That's a concern. I would put him down in a spot where say, hey, if you want to hold, you can, but I don't know that you have to. Trey Murphy is in a real shooting slump at the moment. Another 33% from him, 18 and 4 with 5 threes. Don't panic too much, but it's annoying. While McCollum had 19 and 4 on almost as bad shooting, and it was another relatively poor night from Yves Missy. And I know someone will say, people always have an issue with this, because Josh is always like, he just hates if a big man has a 10 and 10 with a double-double. He hates it. Yeah, because it's not that good. Like, it is fine, but what is it? It's a one-category performance. It's a one-category performance. Like, it's fine, but he had 11 and 10 with no threes, 1 assist, no steals, no blocks, 46 from the field, and 1 of 3 from the line. That's not a good game. That's the BDNR Nick Richards special. We'll talk about Richards later on. That's that sort of game, which is useful to stream, sort of, but it's absolutely not a must. Zion played 31 minutes. We haven't seen this man over 30 minutes in a long time. 27, 10, 11 with 2 blocks. I don't know that I've seen Zion, maybe except that game at the end of last season against the Lakers. This is more consistent. Like, he is just playing unbelievable basketball every game. And I just want that hamstring to stay intact. He looked great. Jordy Hawkins, 10 with 2 threes and 2 blocks. He's a threes and points streamer. And there's not much else going on there. There's a lot going on in Phoenix. Is it good? Not really, but we'll talk about it. They made us change because Bradley Beal suffered a calf tightness issue. Like, what is happening? Just when he was starting to look good again, he's out, and they go back to Tyus Jones. Now, Jones put up a huge game. I honestly, I don't know what is happening in Mike Budenholzer's head. I'm not inside the man's skull. I don't know. But I feel like it's every game. He's like, whatever. We'll just try something. Because he went from 13 minutes of Tyus Jones to 39. Jones was fine. Pretty good, actually. 15, 5, and 12 with 5 threes. Shot 71%. Still makes no sense to me that he should be part of their starting lineup, but whatever. They did it without Beal, and that's a good game. Do I have any trust of Jones doing enough on a regular basis to go and at him? No, not at all. I would add Bol. I've said this before. 29 minutes for Bol, 15 and 6, 3 threes and 2 blocks. But I'm also understand that there's going to be a period of time where the team just can't use him because he ends up not playing well. I know that's going to happen, but he's good enough that you just roster him while he's doing it. And in this one, a couple of games ago, we had like 21.6 threes from Grayson Allen. He had scoreless in 16. Okay. And Royce O'Neal, whose minutes are all over the place, now he's down to 11. What? You don't need to roster Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal very clearly until we get back to a stage where they're playing 30 minutes regularly. It is just complete, throw shit at a wall, see what sticks, and see where we go. Devin Booker, 36, 7 and 9, 42 minutes. Great. Kevin Durant, 28, 5 and 2, 36 minutes. Fantastic. Well done. Well, good for you. But what does it mean? What is it giving us? This team just continues to be an unbelievably large disappointment. I probably should talk about BDNR because honestly, that's not a bad game from him. He got 31 minutes, Nick Richards. He had 10 points. 16 rebounds is great. 83 from the field is great. He blocked a shot. But again, let's be serious. He is not a 12-team must-roster player. He is a streamable sort of guy. And this is like best case-ish sort of scenario for what BDNR provides. And now we do the last game of the night. The Wolves and the Lakers. A lot of interesting, I don't know. What's the right word? I don't know. I usually do words for a living, but can't find one here. Ramifications, developments. Developments is the word that I was looking for. So let's take a look at them. The Lakers win. The Wolves did challenge. They got there. They got close, but the Lakers pulled away. 111-102 is your final score. We'll start with Minnesota. They did run with the same starting lineup despite Dante DiVincenzo being available and Anthony Edwards being available. Not that he wasn't going to be starting, but they kept Mike Conley starting. And by the way, Anthony Edwards was available. He won't be tomorrow because he received his 15th and 16th technical fouls, which, unless one of them gets rescinded, and it won't, I don't think, he's done for tomorrow. They play the Jazz, so okay, whatever. That's okay. Edwards played 26 minutes. He had 18, 6 and 5 with 2 threes, but he's suspended. Let's talk about the big story here, I guess, is what do we do now with TJ Shannon, who played 29 minutes. He had 25 points. He had 5 rebounds and 2 assists. He was incredibly good at driving the lane. That's his real strength, is being able to drive. Now, shooting is a bit iffy. Passing is a bit iffy. Getting minutes can be a bit iffy, especially with everybody returning. But tomorrow, everybody's not going to be there. Edwards won't be there. I don't think DiVincenzo will be there. So it'll be Conley and Clark and Alexander Walker, and then Shannon. There's no Randall. There's no Gobert. So if you wanted a 1-game stream of TJ, that's like maybe. He was impressive in this game for a real good stretch, especially in the second half. Do I think that we need to go over the top here? Not really. But in the last 5 games, he's averaged 25 minutes a game. He's the 160th ranked player for fantasy. That's pretty good, right? Considering where we're coming from here. But overall, it is hard to see a long-term role that is going to be large enough to matter. But again, things could really line up tomorrow. Maybe they rest Conley, probably not. But DiVincenzo likely doesn't play. Edwards almost definitely doesn't play. So that's going to give a little bit of a boost there for Shannon, who can be, I guess, considered as somewhat of a single game streamer if single game streaming is going to be your thing. Wasn't a good one from Naz Reid. The big fella, the Wizard of Noz, played 31 minutes. That's great. He had 3 points on 10% shooting. He did end up with 12 rebounds, but not much else. Just an absolute stinker of a game, but there's still no Gobert and still no Randall. They'll be out for a couple more at least. Jalen Clark continued to start, but didn't really play very much. It was Nickeil Alexander-Walker and TJ Shannon who got the minutes. Alexander-Walker, 35 minutes. He's a good stream tomorrow. 14 with 2 threes. And then, as for Dante, 9, 5, and 6 in 23 minutes. That's incredibly good in those minutes. I would think that he does elevate to that starting spot pretty quickly. Not tomorrow, but maybe the next game. So if he's available, you go grab now and let's see what happens. But that was very good to have him back. Now, on the other side of the equation, the Lakers win. They get a bit shaky, but they pulled it out. Luka continues to shoot horribly. What did he shoot? 30% from the field on 20 attempts? Yuck. 67 from the line on 12 attempts? Terrible. But 21, 13, and 5 is good counting stats-wise, but he is putting up some real percentage stinkers. I don't know whether he's going to play tomorrow. They play tomorrow. He's coming off the calf strain. Will he play? I don't know. Late in the game, LeBron James grabbing at his hamstring. Will he play tomorrow? Austin Reeves, a little bit banged up. I think he'll play. Rui Hachimura left the game early with a knee strain. They're calling it a strain, not a sprain, a strain. Don't think he'll play. Jackson Hayes went to the locker room after a hard fall. He came back, but they could have a million guys out. Let's start with LeBron, who is putting up top 5 numbers over the last month, somehow. 33, 17, and 6 with 4 threes. Just, this man is legitimately 40 years old. How is this happening? This is unbelievable what he's doing. Again, I think he might sit tomorrow, but whatever. Jackson Hayes, 10 and 7, steal and a block. Now, if you've got someone like Jackson Hayes, it's not a great idea to drop with a game tomorrow. Again, if you would start him. But overall, he's a stream level guy. While take this as your sign, because I know you're not, because he's 99% rostered according to Basketball Monster, take it as a sign that you don't need to hold on to Rui Hachimura.
Get that garbage out of here.
5 points, 18 minutes. He's 158th over the last 2 weeks. He's not good enough to be on your roster, so don't. Who will replace him? It's probably going to be Dorian Finney-Smith, who didn't do anything. 3 points with a 3. But again, I think there are going to be multiple starters out tomorrow. At least one, I'd guess, with Rui, and maybe more. So Dorian might do a little bit more as a short-term streamer. The other one to watch, obviously Austin Reeves, he had 20 and 6 with 5 assists. He's developed, after a very slow start this season, into a legitimate, sub-star. Yeah, like he's not quite a star, but he's a star at being a sub. No, that's someone else. He's Lemon Daddy legend, Austin Reeves. He's very good. We'll leave it at very good. The one to watch for me is going to be Jordy Goodwin. 2-way contract player. He played 13 minutes ago. Josh, that's an insane call. Well, some of you won't, because you'll know the work of Jordan Goodwin. 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 steals, 1 assist, 1 3 in those 13 minutes. Again, not very good. But that's fine. Because what if Luka is out? And what if LeBron is out? Goodwin could have 9 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Easily. Just watch to see what they do. Jared Vanderbilt, also another one who likely does not play tomorrow. Obviously, nobody is rostering him, for the love of God. Please don't. But I also know, and some of you are out there, and I don't know if these numbers are a representation of who watches this show. But according to our Basketball Monster advanced ranking metric, Dalton Connect is rostered in 9% of 12-team leagues. I obviously can't believe that 16 teams passed on him in the draft. But come on, guys. He went scoreless in 11 minutes. Now, also, tomorrow, he might actually get a chance to pop off. So I'm not going to rule him out as being a stream guy for tomorrow, but we're absolutely not rostering him. Speaking of the draft and the number 17, I went and had a look today at the NBA draft for next season because I was trying to figure out stuff about the Hornets and where they are with their 14 wins, and the Jazz with their 14, the Pelicans with their 16, whatever. There are, at the time that I'm looking at this at the moment, from what I can tell, 17 first-round draft picks that will not be made by the team that should have them. 17 out of 30. That's a crazy amount. 4 of those, and this could be 3 depending on protections, meaning it might be not 6, 7, it might be 16. But 4 of those picks are in the lottery. 2 of them have a shot to be number 1 overall. The Atlanta pick could end up going to San Antonio. Well, sorry, the Atlanta pick will go to San Antonio. Just depends where it lands. And the Phoenix pick goes to Houston. And it's got a shot at number 1 overall. Yeah. Imagine adding Cooper Flagg to Amen Thompson. By the way, if you don't know what Cooper Flagg is, I mean, he's a dude. He's a main legend. He is a 6'10" guy. He plays for Duke. He should be in high school. He's out a year early. And what he is an elite defensive prospect with some shooting can be somewhat shaky, but with offensive upside clearly. But he is a absolute defensive monster. Think what Tari Eason does defensively, but with a guy that legitimately can be an offensive star as well. Putting him next to Amen Thompson would be crazy. Oh my God. Anyway, that's a completely different discussion for a completely different day. Watch for tomorrow. Edwards probably out. LeBron may be out. Rui definitely out. Luka may be out. DiVincenzo may be out. So from both of these teams' box scores that we saw today, you could get some very big changes. Lines of the night. The monstrous goes to, of course, it's him. It's Wardell Curry II. 56 points with 12 threes and 2 steals for Wardell. The waiver wire line, that's what we're doing. It's the C-parter. It's the big man himself, Moses Brown. I was able to find a headshot of him in a Mavericks uniform because he was on the Mavericks back in 2022. He's been in the league since 2019. Anyway, I didn't even read his stats because I went on a big diatribe about it earlier on. The young gun of the night is Quinton Post of the Golden State Warriors, 18 and 5 with a steal and a block. That was very interesting. Not sure it means much as we move forward. And then the dud of the night, it has to be the Wizard of Noz himself, Nazareth Reed. And I realised I put 11% there because I tried to cheat and put that graphic through a little early. Then he missed a shot at the end to make it 10%. 3 points, 12 rebounds, 10% shooting for the Wizard of Noz. And that is the end of a Thursday recap. There will be a show tomorrow, as I just hit the wrong button there. It is coming to the end of Black History Month, and we are here coming to the end of February. That screen doesn't need to be there, Josh. You've just lost all control. It's wild here. What's going on? Dogs and cats are getting along. It's craziness. Anyway, what I want you guys to do is set your lineups, keep it rolling, keep it cracking, keep it easy, keep it sleazy, keep it breezy, keep it cheesy. And tomorrow we'll do a Saturday waiver wire preview show. I hope we should get that done. There might be some, we'll get it done. We'll get it done somehow. And then we'll get into Sunday with a week preview show, and we'll check on the streaming plan. We'll do all that stuff. But what I want you to do, you don't need to check your streaming plan. I just want you to tell yourself a positive thing that you did this week. You don't have to put it in the email with the 5 things you achieved. Just tell me what you did good. Or no, tell yourself, I don't care. No, again, rephrase. Not that I don't care. I do care. But you don't have to tell me. You can tell yourself. That's the important part. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.